Yeah, we got a couple new sponsors today, but we start with today's sponsorships with the fan favorite, and that is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and NFL fans can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. When you get in the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, guys. So, man, I'm bummed about the Guardians right now. They lose 3-0 to the Tigers yesterday. I've got complaints about Stephen Vogt. We'll get to what he did with the pinch hitting. But the bottom line is that the Guardians have gone 20 innings, which is a franchise record in the postseason, without a run, not a hit. It seems like it, without a big hit. 20 innings. In fact, in the last 20 innings, the Guardians have one hit with a runner in scoring position. That was Stephen Kwan in Game 2, but they didn't score on that play. They held the runner at third. That is the only hit they've had with a runner in scoring position. No runs scored for 20 innings. 2 runs scored since the 5-run first inning in the, 25 innings since that first inning. And I could talk about managerial decisions and pitching matchups and this and that. If the Guardians don't hit today, they're going home today, unfortunately.
I watched the entirety of your post game on Bet Rivers. I was watching. Shout out to you for powering through some technical difficulties. But you got your money off. But the point that you made was valid, and it's the point I was kind of talking about when I was watching the game. My parents, obviously diehard Guardians fans, they were as dejected as I was after the Browns get smoked.
Yeah.
And the thing that I always remember coming back to, and I couldn't wait to ask you today because I've been saying it for a long time.
Yeah.
For me playing baseball, I feel like at the plate, it's all about rhythm. It's all about timing and getting into the flow of things. Mm-hmm. And I think when I see the Guardians, I know that they want to match it up versus lefty versus righty. I know they want to get the best matchup. But I just always felt that they put themselves at a little bit of a disadvantage when you are coming off the bench and you're pitch hitting and you're thrown in the game cold and you got to come up there and deliver in these big spots. I would almost rather say, look, I know you don't traditionally hit Royal versus lefties, or you don't traditionally hit Royals versus righties, but what I want to do is I'm going to pick a guy and say, I'm going to give you 4 at-bats. And maybe you might look silly the first time, or maybe you might not be seeing the ball well, but at least you get 4 opportunities to lock in and get that rhythm up there, because it almost seems like when the way they mix it in lefty-righty, bring in Will Brennan and Manzardo is up and then he's down, and John Kizzy Noel is up and he's down. Like, I would rather give them a hack at 4 times at the plate and just live with it. But it looked like they have no chance at the plate when people are pinch hitting and coming in. Is that just me, or it just feels like they're at a disadvantage by doing that, especially with younger players?
I think there's certainly an argument to be made for that. My counter to that would be Kerry Carpenter of the Tigers has been their best player this year, and he only plays against righties. Mm-hmm. He doesn't hit against lefties. And different players react to these things different ways. Yes, there probably are some guys, and maybe some of the Guardians guys fit into this category, that they'd be better if they played. And I would personally like to see Kyle Manzardo play. Kyle Manzardo's only had 20 plate appearances in the majors against lefties. We don't know if he can hit lefties or not because he's barely had a chance. Mm-hmm. Plus, he's your best prospect. If he's your best prospect, well, I assume you think he can hit lefties. Otherwise, he wouldn't be your best prospect. So I would have him play pretty much every day. The tricky thing is that David Fry right now can't play anywhere besides DH, and you're not going to sit Josh Naylor, and Fry has been good against lefties.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a long time ago, but the 86 Mets, one of the greatest teams I've ever seen, they had 2 platoons at second base and center field. And all those guys. But the problem is with the Guardians platoons, and we'll see long term. The problem is that right now, I know David Fry had a really nice first half, but he crashed back down to earth the second half. And the reality is that between Fry and Noel and Manzardo and Brennan, none of those guys are that good.
Right.
At this time. Doesn't mean they won't be. But at this time, none of them are that good that the combination of A, they're not that good, and B, they're not playing consistently, yes, it might be having a negative effect on them. But the bottom line to me, guys, is your stars have to play well. Your three best players are Ramirez, Naylor, and Kwan. Kwan's been great. He's gotten on base a ton of times. He has set the table. And Ramirez and Naylor have not gotten it done. Jose in particular has been awful. He's 1 for 11. And Zach and I were talking about this morning. Jose Ramirez, he has played, I believe, let's see if I can figure out in my head real quick. I believe Jose Ramirez has played in, I want to say this is his 9th postseason series in his career. Something like that. I believe it's 9. Could be 10. I believe it's 9. He's had 3 series where he's played really well. He was good in the World Series against the Cubs in 16. Mm-hmm. He was good in 17 against the Yankees when they lost that series. And then I think he
was not good against the Yankees in 17.
Okay, give me the 3 series that he did well.
He was in 22. He was good against the Yankees, not 17.
Okay, go ahead.
He was good against the Yankees in 2020 as well.
Right, and then against the Cubs in the World Series.
In the World Series.
Okay,
yeah.
His other 6 series, is it 6 others?
It is correct, yeah, 9 total.
So his other 6 series, including this one, he's probably batting like 100. He's been awful in those other 6 series, and so overall, his postseason numbers are bad. He's had 3, but there's been no in between. Jose's been great a third of the time, and he's been hideous 2/3 of the time. And when you're the best player, you can't. When you're the Guardians have a lineup that is flawed, right? It's flawed. Mm-hmm. So your best player's got to play great, or it's hard. And nobody is the only other guy that's stepping up. I think that's had it offensively. It's been Kwan. And I think Rocchio's been pretty good. Everybody else has been crap.
Do you want his numbers in those other playoff series?
Yeah, give me his numbers in his other 6 playoff series. I bet you he's batting around 100.
So in 2016, his first playoff series, he hit 500 actually. He was 5 of 10. Very limited sample size.
Okay, that was okay.
So he's played good in 4. He said 5 terrible series.
Huh. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
2016 ALCS against Toronto, he was 1 for 17. He hit 0.059.
Yeah.
What? In 2017 against the Yankees, the ALDS in which they lost, he was 2 of 20. He hit 100.
So that was 3 of 37 between those two.
In the 2018 ALDS, he was 0 for 12.
3 for 49.
In the 2022 AL wildcard round, 2 games.
Yeah.
He was 2 for 10.
So 5 for 59.
And then in this playoff series, 2024, so far, he is 1 for 11.
That's 6 for 70 in those 5 series.
Not good
enough. That's
enough.
under 100. I mean, that's.
But did you not? You could potentially see this coming because it was stretches this season where we just couldn't hit anything.
It's hard to wrap your head around, like in basketball and in football. Sometimes in football, but but basketball is more similar to baseball in terms of you have a series. It's not just one game, right? Mm-hmm. So in basketball, the best players almost never have a bad game. Has LeBron ever had a really bad game in the playoffs?
In the finals
yes,
with
the
Heat. Yeah, Dallas.
That's true.
Choked.
Yes.
But out of how many games that he's played?
Out of the most in the history of the game, he's had 1 or 2.
Exactly. It's not fair. Jose Ramirez is not LeBron James. That's not the equivalent. But the point is, like, Mookie Betts has been one of the best players in baseball. Yesterday, he came through in Game 4. Before that, he'd been 0 for 22. One of the best players in baseball.
Okay, so let me put it in perspective.
But Jose's got to get it done. He is letting them down.
For the baseball perspective, so because it's hard to put it in perspective how good somebody is.
Yeah.
Give me the equivalent of Jose Ramirez in terms of a quarterback and a basketball player.
Kyrie Irving.
Lamar Jackson.
I like that question.
Lamar Jackson.
No.
You think Jose is as good
Why?
as
Because he hasn't
Jackson?
played well in the playoffs?
Well, he's had a couple of good playoff series. Lamar's had 8.
Yeah, but he hasn't been an MVP.
He ain't been on MVP.
Oh, you saying total, not just their playoffs.
Yeah,
Oh,
over.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So what would you describe if you said Jose Ramirez? This sounds like SATs. Jose Ramirez is to blank in basketball, and he is to blank in football.
I have one, but you may say he's too good in basketball.
All right, who?
James Harden?
Harden's pretty good.
Yeah,
But even when Harden won
he-
MVP, he was never looked at as like the best guy in the league.
Right.
Jose's been in the MVP conversation. I think you said 6
but
times
Harden
top 5
is
finish.
Jose Ramirez is thought more highly of than Harden is in basketball. I think.
I don't
think,
know.
I think because
that's pretty close.
Jose does play defense, but like, is he like? To me, he's like a fringe guy. Like,
But Jose does everything well. There's no flaws in his game. He's not a one-dimensional player.
Russell
like
Westbrook.
So
maybe Russell Westbrook. I don't know. I was thinking like Josh Allen for football.
But Josh Allen does well in the postseason.
Yeah, but not as well as he does in the regular season.
Josh Allen
Yes,
is Josh Allen.
I don't know.
too
I'm not
high?
coming up with good ones, honestly.
The quarterback one's
Kirk
tough.
Cousins?
But I feel like Jose's on a higher level.
Higher
than-
level.
Yeah, he is.
Russell Wilson.
No, I think he's better. No,
Better than I mean, who else?
I like the James.
I
the more
guess
think about it,
Lamar
I like the
Jackson and James
Harden.
Harden are the best. Even though he hasn't won an MVP, I guess those would be the best comparisons.
those are pretty. Those are
Dak Prescott.
that might be it.
Dak's a good one for the quarterback.
I like Dak as
I
the
like the
quarterback.
That's a good one. That's a good job out of you.
That's a
Travis.
good one, man.
That's good.
That was
Jose's
crazy.
probably a little higher on the pedigree.
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of The
Yeah,
standouts.
I
good.
like that one. Now, if I get a basketball player, what can we go with? All right, what can we go with? Oh boy,
Hey,
how about Jaylen Brown?
Well, Browns won.
He could be
championship
Donovan
now.
Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell is not a bad comparison. That is not a bad.
But
What about Drew
That's
Holiday?
actually not a bad one. actually.
Drew Holiday.
Well, Drew
No,
Holiday.
Drew was a role guy. Though.
Because I'm thinking like it's got to be because Jose Ramirez is in this. He's a second-tier superstar.
I know who it
Because
is.
he's not in the group with Ohtani and Judge.
Donovan might be a really good answer. In all
This is
honesty. Donovan's a really good
this is a
answer.
better one.
Go ahead.
Perfect. Jalen Brunson.
Brunson has to do it another year.
Yeah.
What? Brunson cold.
No, listen, I know, but Jose's done this for what?
Yeah,
a
he's done it
decade
for a
now?
long time.
So Brunson has done it for what, 3 years?
And by the way, you know how we've talked about the fact that it hurts even more. And it's by the way, I don't want to go crazy about Jose Ramirez. It's he's had some good series, including the World Series. He's had some big hits. And A-Rod, one of the greatest players I've ever seen, was awful in the postseason forever until the last time the Yankees won the World Series. And he was
Aaron
great.
Judge too can't hit the playoffs.
Aaron Judge is he can't hit against the Guardians. He's actually his overall numbers are not bad, but he's been terrible against the Guardians in the playoffs. So I don't want to kill Jose too much, but it's funny because
Aaron Judge is hitting 203 for his career in the playoffs.
Yeah, but look at his home runs
13 home runs,
in how many games?
48.
Yeah, it's not as good as I would have thought.
That's not it.
But it's still, I mean, that's like 40 home runs in a season, though. If you
He's had one really good playoffs. That's it.
yeah, so even he's been better than Jose in terms of power, but he hasn't been good enough.
The only thing I didn't like is the fact that it seems like all the fan base in Cleveland base is just like, oh, it's over.
I know, that's such a terrible
Guardians
attitude.
and the Browns are both done in the same week.
I know.
And I'm like, dang, it's not over until it's over.
And by the
Like,
way,
God
you could
dang.
complain normally. You could. I've ripped the Guardians for their payroll a million times, and I will do it again this offseason. But I don't want to hear about payroll right now. Do you know how many players on the Tigers? Let me do it this way. Jose
team.
Ramirez is making more money
And all of them combined.
this season than the entire 26-man Tigers roster, active roster. Tigers only have 2 players making a lot of money, Javi Baez and Kenta Maeda. Neither one is on the roster. The rest, their current roster, I think their highest paid player is, I know Tarek Skubal's making like $2.5 million. They got one other guy making like $2 million, and Jake Rogers makes like $1 million and change. And I think they only have 4 guys making more than $800,000.
But is that So
They're not losing this series to
800,000.
Japan.
if it boils down to
Keith.
this, are you
Right, because he signed a contract before he even went to the majors.
Are you giving yourself a better opportunity to win if you spend money or you don't spend money? Like, look,
I agree,
it's
Gene, but that's
nice.
not the excuse for this series.
well,
is
no,
all I'm saying.
Well, no. Here for me, I look. The tenets of Project Stockpile are this: when you think you've bought enough, go get 2 more.
The Guardians don't buy enough, and it's a fair criticism overall. It's not an excuse for losing the series, is what I'm saying.
Well, I can say that. Look, if you look at their lineup, right, and so, and this is another thing I wanted to talk about. If you go watch yourself, if you pull Bull out and you were just looking at not the Guardians, but in baseball in general, if you was having a general Bull conversation about baseball, and you said, let's take a look at the lineups, right? Mm-hmm. See, Bull, I already know. I got my crystal ball. Josh Naylor is okay. Bull not high on Josh.
No, he's not.
You're not high on Naylor like that.
No, I mean, he's
You said
a good player.
He's a good player.
He's
but
on record saying that once he gets paid, Josh's career is going to go like
But
this.
Josh Naylor to me on a championship team is more suited as a 6-hole hitter, because if you get something from him at 6, clap it up.
Right, but here's the thing. The reason I thought they'd go to the World Series is because I feel the same way about the Royals lineup, and I think the Tigers lineup is worse than the Guardians. The Yankees lineup is flawed too. Now, they got 2 superstars. The Guardians only have 1 superstar, but I thought the Guardians bullpen would be the difference. And I'm not counting this series out. I think the Guardians are going to win today, and I think they can beat Tarek Skubal. It's going to be hard. I know that. By the way, the last time the Guardians won an elimination game, so a game where they could be eliminated, they have lost, I believe, 11 in a row.
Jeez.
The last time they won an elimination game was against the Yankees in 1997. So it's been almost 30 years.
Bo, you mentioned earlier in the
that's not
segment you
good.
had some issues with some things Stephen Vogt did yesterday.
Yes, let me
didn't
get into
to that,
this.
So
So-
please explain what you meant by that.
Okay, so I remember I said yesterday that none of the Tiger pitchers would face more than 9 batters in these 2 days.
Yep.
Now, technically, I was wrong because Brian Herter, their lefty, faced 11 batters. I think it was 11.
So
I think-
Bull's a fraud.
Oh, it was 10?
He faced 10.
He
Just
faced
remember,
10.
Bull's a fraud. He
I'm
lied
a
to
fraud.
us.
I said no more than 9. He did face. I think he faced Kwan twice. I think that was it because he was a lefty. But to me, you absolutely cannot pinch hit. So Montero was their starting pitcher. He's a righty. So you set your lineup with left-handed hitters. You know, and for the platoons, you went with the guys that hit against righties. So that the Tigers go to a lefty in the second inning. And they pinch hit for Will Brennan before he's even come to the plate, which I don't know that I've ever seen that outside of an injury. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. So, to me, and Stephen Vogt said after the game, well, they knew that Montero wasn't going to be in there long and they were going to bring in Herter. So, even beyond the pinch hitting, which I didn't like, and his argument was, well, we had a chance to score there. It was first and second, 1 out. Okay, I could buy that argument to some degree. But if you knew, as you claim you did, that Montero wasn't going to be in for long, and you should have known that because that's what the Tigers have done all season, is have their starter pitch 1 inning, maybe 1 inning change, and then they go to a pitcher that throws a different way as the starter. If you knew that, then why did you have Will Brennan in the lineup in the first place? Mm-hmm. Why didn't you just start John Kenzie Noel? And here's the reason why. The Guardians should start their right-handed platoon guys, which are Fry and John Kenzie Noel, in every game. The reason is because you need the lefties in this series. You need Manzardo and you need Brennan when? Late in the game in a big spot. Why? Who are the Tigers' most trusted relief pitchers right now that A.J. Hinch goes to in big spots? Will Vest and Bo Brisky. They're both righties. So I want my left-handed hitters available to face them late in the game. And what happened yesterday? They were not available. He brought in Brisky in, the 5th or 6th? He brought in Will Vest, I believe, in the 8th. And he did not have either of those guys available because he already pinch hit for them in the 2nd and the 3rd inning. That's insane. He should never have had them in the lineup. And, anyway, so that really pissed me off.
See, boys and girls? See thesis statement opening the show.
That's right.
You're doing all this mental gymnastics and backflips. The righty came in at 2:56 p.m. The murder weapon is on their hands, and it was the butler who did it. No.
This is Clue. He got outmanaged by A.J. Hinch in a big-time way.
Hey, go up there. Hey,
Why did he do that? I've never heard of that. You pitch hit before they even
before he even got his.
I've never heard of that.
Anzardo got one at bat, and then he got pinch hit for. Brennan didn't even get an at bat and got pinch hit for.
What do you think these guys are?
And again, he knew they were going to make a pitching change because they always do that. The only time they don't do it is when Scooble pitches.
This is his first rodeo.
There's no excuse. That's no excuse.
I
don't care that it's
you
his first
should have
rodeo.
known that at some point a mistake
And by the way,
would be made.
when they plan the lineup, the front office is involved. I assume it's not their first rodeo.
Hold on.
They've been here for a while.
Bull.
Yeah.
Bull. All right, we're gonna get to this too. McNuggets, can you let me know? See, this is why I want everybody to think here. Why is it that we do mental gymnastics backflips off the top of the roof with no parachute when we even hear that an NFL owner is in the front office is making lineup changes and God forbid who's playing quarterback. But in baseball, the front office, it is a well-known out front thing. You know what? We get to choose the lineup when the pitcher come out, how many pitches he gonna throw.
I don't love it.
That's crazy.
I don't love it, but it's in baseball it's commonplace. In football it's not.
How?
I would say in both.
Yeah.
I think it's more than half the league operates in that fashion.
Oh, I would bet. Now I don't know.
So what the heck does the manager do?
I
just take orders?
I'm not saying I don't know that the front office is handing him a lineup.
You want anything else?
I don't know if it's like that. I think it's what I believe, and again, I don't know. I'm not in the front office, and they're not sharing this information. I believe they strategize as a team.
The starting, so the general, like the front office is like, I don't know about Kwan at the top of the lineup, dog.
Again, I don't know this for a fact. I believe that's the case, and it's pretty commonplace that the front offices are involved, especially with young managers, in the planning process.
So
the general managers now are kind of like, like coaches in a way in football. It's crazy.
So we shouldn't say nothing to Deepa Desta, then, right?
I think it's different sports, though, G.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I get your point. But in baseball, it's commonplace.
Baseball analytics in baseball have been around forever.
So every
football is newer.
So if analytics is around, right?
Yeah.
And all the old guard guys are gone. Last one is Tito. They go by their gut feeling. Then
no, but Tito uses analytics.
He uses it some.
Yeah,
I get it. He's not allergic to it.
Yeah.
But you telling me there's a bunch of people that are Ivy Leaguers again that probably haven't played.
Now Mike Chernoff did play in college.
Okay, I give him credit for that.
He didn't play professionally.
I'll give him credit for that.
He played in Division I. He played Division I.
Clap it up. Yeah. I give him. But everybody played no. Listen.
No, most of these guys did not.
So this is what it's coming to. Hey, by the way, it's working that way.
And by the way, Mike Chernoff played Ivy League too, just like Andrew Berry.
And basketball, Mike McNuggets. I'm telling you. These basketball dudes they're all on it. Like they on your efficiency.
I don't like it at all, but that's just the way it is.
The way the game goes.
Basketball scouting has gotten to the point where every movement you make, they have to track to a science, and they have an analytical defense to what you want to do.
And they all come from Emerson.
Yeah, right. Well, let me just circle it back before we bring in Mayor Bibb here, and the fact that to me, he got outmanaged. If the front office had some say, and again, I don't know. If they had some say in the planning, that's a terrible job out of them because they have the experience. But the bottom line of all of this is the top of the lineup has got to hit beyond Stephen Kwan. And if that doesn't happen today, then yes, they're going home. The Guardians have Tanner Bybee. They have a big advantage. They're favored to win this game. They've got to take care of business and bring it back home and end this 11-game, 27-year losing streak in elimination games.
Where's your confidence meter?
My confidence meter is a little lower than it's been, but I still believe they're going to win. So I'd say it's down to an 8. I've been at a 10 until today. Now I'm down to an 8, but I still feel
you the Duke of knee jerk.
Man, I've been telling you about these bats all year long. So I'm gonna take, and I don't take kindly in my victory laps, but I think my confidence meter is 40. I'm 40% confidence because I need to see some. By the way, Jimenez.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. He came up with first and second, nobody out in the second inning.
Yeah.
And you know what? All this platooning they're doing, he can't. First of all, he can't hit. Period.
Meanwhile,
Francisco Lindor, just like I'm not going to compare Watson.
Is this the Baker? Is Francisco our Baker?
Lindor hits a grand slam.
He's our Baker
to give the Phillies a win. The Mets a win over the Phillies and eliminate them.
That's a shame.
I predicted a Guardians-Mets World Series. The Mets are looking good. Doing their part.
They wasn't paying him.
That hurt my heart.
They should have paid him.
And
by the way, 2 years ago, everybody embarrassed themselves here saying Andres Jimenez is better than Francisco Lindor.
Whoa.
A lot of people were saying, I never said that.
I'm about to say,
where's Jason Lloyd? Jason Lloyd
definitely
Jason
said
Lloyd,
that.
you're around here somewhere.
Andres Jimenez,
he's too good of a hitter.
Andres Jimenez
said that for
is
sure.
nowhere close to Francisco Lindor. Guardians ownership dropped the ball. They should have never made that trade. They should have paid Francisco Lindor.
Defensively.
Well, I don't care about defensively. Francisco Lindor can hit, and Andres Jimenez can't. And by the way, and we'll bring in Mayor Bibb, and I'm screaming and yelling, so I'll calm down here in a minute. But it was first and second, nobody out in the second inning. They asked Jimenez to bunt. The guy can't hit to save his life.
Can't lay
to
down.
save his life.
He was
nervous.
And he couldn't get a bunt down.
He was nervous.
You gotta lay it down, bro.
You got one job to get a bunt
You know
down.
how hard it is to bunt?
It's not hard. You're a major leaguer. You're a major leaguer. You should be able to bunt when you can't hit.
They needed Austin Hedges in that spot.